right now. So as we are talking, just talking general stuff, and we were going to talking about Kathleen Kennedy, which I guess gets us into it now. We might as well go into it. Um, I got an alert on my phone, which is a special alert that I only get when what I call the bat phone, because I've set up a very specific way to communicate with my source inside of Lucasfilm called Sparrow. We've set up a specific way to do that to protect their identity, right? So that they have not been caught in the last 2 years. And it's because we have these security methods that we've created of how they can reach out to me, right? And so the alert went off, and it's never gone off in the middle of a live stream ever, right? That I'm aware of. And I was like, I got to take this, right? This is coming straight in, right? So I stepped off. I got the information. I felt a duty to my Patreon subscribers to put it out first there, which I did. I stepped away. I posted. Those of you who are on my Patreon, you can read it directly. But if you want, we can you can pull up the Patreon on here for the Latino Slant people. They get the special benefit of seeing what is normally behind a paywall. And what my subscribers just found out, 5 minutes ago. And I couldn't, because I'm trying to get back into the live stream. I didn't put all the details in because I just want to get the basic generals. So we'll talk about some of the more details here live here. It'll be breaking news. I don't think it's ever happened, and I'm honored to be able to do it on Latino Slant, right? One of the people whose integrity I really respect who can put this out there.
Okay. Well, let's just. Can I read this? Would that be all right?
Yeah, you go right ahead. But why don't we give a little context? I would give a little context. So just make it very simple. Several days ago, starting with the Puck Industry newsletter, Matt Belloni, then confirmed by Hollywood Reporter and Variety, articles came out saying that Kathleen Kennedy will retire by the end of this year, that a succession plan is in place. And then Hollywood Reporter went into a very detailed thing of the people that are being considered in the succession plan, including Jon Favreau and others, right? What are the odds that they're going to be ones chosen? So this has been the majority of the trades were going with this story because they had their own sources confirming that all of this is true. And one trade remained silent, and we'll talk a little bit why this trade was not like the others, but it became the only one because then Kathleen Kennedy started putting out, like, through her PR people, look, it's not really right, that's not really correct. I don't know, but and the other trades wouldn't run her statements, and so because they knew that she was lying.
Wow.
I mean, Hollywood Reporter, Variety wouldn't run her stuff. So what did she do? She ran to Deadline, which is the only trade that remained silent, that didn't even report on this, right? And for reasons we can talk about. And she gave this lengthy interview with Deadline, which is long, rambling, and kind of psychotic, right? I mean, it's all over the place. It's the craziest interview I've seen in years. It's not a pre-planned professional interview. She's just shooting from the hip, and she's contradicting herself. And sadly, a lot of people took her claims, well, I'm not retiring, those reports are incorrect. Well, the report wasn't that she was retiring. The report was that she's come to an agreement to step down from Lucasfilm later in the year and a succession plan is being worked out. That was the report. And when actually pressed on that, even by Deadline finally, after letting her ramble and talk about all the great things she's done, all the great things she's doing, and she's never going to retire and keep making movies and blah, 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 blah. And the final thing they ask her at the end of this long rambling interview at Deadline is, so are you going to leave Lucasfilm this year? They finally ask her that at the very end. And what is her answer? Her answer is, I don't know. That was her answer. If you are not leaving your job, your answer is no. It's very simple. If someone comes to you and you have a job and your plan is to stay there and do all these wonderful things you've been talking about, the answer is no, I'm not leaving. Her answer was, I don't know, because she knows she can't say I'm not leaving because that's going to directly contradict reality. It's going to contradict what's happened behind the scenes that I talked about, in my earlier Patreon groups that Iger had reached an agreement with her back in October for her to step down this year. And she can't do that. So she says, I don't know, which is not the answer. And sadly, a lot of people didn't see or chose not to realize she said, I don't know. And yeah, I don't know if I'm still have my, she even says, with all these wonderful projects I'm going to do at Star Wars, Deadline asks her, so are you going to still be involved in Star Wars like in a few years? And she's like, I don't know. And her answer to everything is, I don't know, which means the answer is no, right? So when that happened, a lot of people jump, well, look, obviously she's not leaving. We've heard this before, and blah, blah, blah. And Kamran is wrong, and Matt Belloni's wrong. What I wrote last night, which is going to bring us into this, I wrote last night, this is unprecedented for her to do this and essentially call the other trades, imply that they're lying. It's going to catalyze a trade war, where the other trades, which is Hollywood Reporter and Variety, the oldest trades from 1930 and 1933 respectively. Deadline is a recent blog. It's a newcomer, right? And these guys have been around for almost a century, and now their reputation is on the line. And I said, these people are going to attack. the trade was going to be, because you just called them, essentially implied that they're liars, even though you didn't really say that, but that's what people are going to believe. And so this morning, Matt Maloney, the original scooper, who used to be the editor in chief of the Hollywood Reporter, Matt Maloney on his Puck newsletter wrote this impassioned thing, which we will talk about before we go to the spook. He wrote this impassioned thing where he said, he basically called the reporter at Deadline a sycophant. He says those words, he says they're sycophant, and says, he's up there, up her ass, basically. That's what he says. And he said she confirmed exactly what I said in my report. She confirmed what I reported, that, with all of her blah, 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 she confirmed that there's a succession plan in place, and she's going to be out this year. She confirmed it. He said in a thing, and people are calling me a liar. So this is going to accelerate. That's what I said this morning before I came on the Latino Slant. I posted
Right.
that a few minutes before I came on the Latino Slant. And then now, to go to this, I get this phone call from my insider Sparrow, and I'll let you read this. Let's read it. It's a short thing. You read it, and everyone's going to get this scoop that happened live while we were doing this.
Okay, scoop. Kennedy is finished. Deadline disaster accelerates her downfall. I was on live with Latino Slant right now when a call came in through the bat phone for Sparrow about what's happening. And since I'm in the middle of a live stream now, I'll make this short and sweet and then go back to the Latino Slant to give you details. Thanks, Kamran. Sparrow says that people inside Lucasfilm are shocked that Kathleen Kennedy went on Deadline to pretend she isn't leaving Lucasfilm as reported by multiple trades. And her unhinged interview with Deadline has accelerated her downfall. Sparrow saw that post-Kennedy plans are being pushed forward with urgency as Iger and Favreau are ready to push her out as soon as possible. Jon Favreau views Kennedy's idiotic interview as a blessing, and he is sitting back and letting the trade wars that began this morning with Baloney attacking Kennedy and Deadline take her down. Finally, Sparrow is hearing that legal memos have been sent from Iger's office to Lucasfilm's attorneys. They cannot confirm what is in those communiques, but there is a widespread speculation inside Lucasfilm that Iger is moving to settle the Gina Carano and Catherine McCarthy lawsuits soon, and Kennedy's behavior has accelerated the process. Come and watch. Okay, so all right. What is?
So that's the basic I got out to get back out here. Yeah.
Okay, what is not speculation from this?
All right. Well, what is not speculation is what's happening inside the office, which is So what Sparrow said, people were like, oh my God, I can't believe she did this. We knew she was going to try to get like her word out,
So she went rogue with that interview.
Yeah, initially to CNN. Yeah, she initially to CNN, which nobody in Hollywood pays attention to, and then to a variety of fan sites and in Snyder and whatever, saying, she's not going anywhere. She's going to leave on her own terms and blah 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 blah. But everyone in Hollywood just went like, yeah, we don't care about CNN. They didn't even notice it, because when Variety, the Hollywood Reporter, say it's done, it's done. And I've talked about that. I wrote that, I think, that the trades represent the official narrative. And we have multiple trades, not one, multiple. You have 3 trades saying she's gone. And they're not just going to publish something like that, which is so explosive and incendiary, without having multiple sources, each of them confirming that is true. So now, what they thought, everyone in Lucasfilm was like, "God, she's trapped," but she went to the one trade that did nothing, right? Which is Deadline. Deadline remained silent. Now, Deadline's a very interesting blog. It was initially created by Nikki Fink, and it was started as a very sort of in your face Hollywood insider perspective, which was wonderful. Then Nikki decided to retire, and Penske Media, Jay Penske, who's the son of the racing magnate, right? The Penske racing family, right? He's a billionaire from that, and so he's an heir, and he purchased Deadline, and then he actually locked Nikki out. Nikki tried to post things, and it's actually he locked her out of her own website when she went rogue and she started posting like stuff that he didn't approve of, which is what her brand was. Nikki was an investigative journalist and a muckraker. And when she continued doing that without his permission after he owned the website, he locked her out of her own website. And then basically she sued. There was a lawsuit. He gave her a lot of money to go away. And so poor Nikki Fink has been out of the picture. I would love to have seen what she would have had to say the last 10 years about Kennedy. She would have been more blunt than I am, right? But she was gone. And then Deadline transformed from being this muckraking, insider, in your face, telling the truth blog to a very in line with a system blog. But even more so, because Penske would then go on to buy Variety, which is reporting that Kennedy is leaving. Variety, seems to have retained editorial independence, probably because they've been around for 100 years and have tremendous power. So I don't know that Penske's people want to mess with Variety's independence, right? They seem to be editorially independent. They and Deadline will often report things differently. And
That's what I
then
noticed too. Yeah. Okay.
but Deadline seems to be, ever since Nikki Fink was cut out, Deadline seems to be the Penske's direct, like it's his voice, right? And the reporters work for him and serve his agenda. Apparently, that's my guess,
Hmm.
right? And so, one of the things we'll know about Deadline is that Deadline has a very clear progressive political agenda, which is not obvious in other trades. Obviously, everyone in Hollywood is liberal, blah blah blah, but Deadline takes very specific political stances in its articles, right? Especially when it comes to issues of sex abuse and feminism and all that stuff that's been
Mm.
happening with Weinstein. It was very blunt about these things and it had very specific views. So the example, I'll give two examples. We'll go to Kennedy so you understand the examples. So Deadline, during the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, Deadline passionately took Amber Heard's side. If you read any of those articles going back the entire trial over 2 years of that drama, and
Hmm.
you compare the trades, Deadline was the one that consistently saying that Johnny Depp is a scumbag and a liar. I mean, that's the kind of vibe of those things, right? It was saying like did disgusting things. That's an actual quote from one of the things, right? Said these disgusting things to her instead of just reporting on these text messages that were being used in the trial that he said these things. It was like he said these disgusting things. So it had a slant, and it was 100% on board with Amber all the way to the moment that she was. If you read Deadline only, you'd think Amber's going to win this trial
Mm.
because that's the only point of view you heard. And then they quietly, well, Amber loses the trial. Let's move on. And then the same thing is happening now with the current Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively thing, where the other trades are kind of being more neutral about it. Like the Hollywood Reporter has done some real investigative journalism about what's happening, and those article one came out just a few days ago that basically really makes Blake Lively look very bad. This is a very in-depth investigative journalist article from the Hollywood Reporter, and what Deadline has been doing since this thing is, that Blake Lively is right, Justin Baldoni is an abuser, and they don't move from that stance. So it appears to be an editorial stance of Deadline that women, particularly white women, are always right and their claims are always correct and you can't question them, right? That seems to be the editorial slant. So that's why they stayed silent when the other major trades are talking about Kennedy going,
Yeah.
because they were hoping for what happened, that Kennedy would see, this is my safe zone. This is where a white woman who's being oppressed by the patriarchy can come and talk. And so she comes and talks, right? And so that's where she goes. So let's continue reading this. So she does it a Deadline, which shocked people. I'm not so sure it shocked Favreau. I think he might have planned it. Sparrow didn't say that, but it shocked people. So with this, the revelation, sort of, the in depth of what Sparrow told me right now on the phone is
Yes.
that the people at the inside of Lucasfilm were shocked. And they're like, we're watching her spiral down. That was the quote. We're watching her spiral down. I didn't have time to put quotes in this thing, right? We're watching her spiral down. And what it's done is that everyone's
That's
like,
a
this is,
that's a direct quote
that's
from
a direct quote. We are watching her spiral down.
so a
Like this,
direct quote, chat,
yeah, that I didn't have time to put into
that
the
I didn't
article.
have time is we're watching Kathleen Kennedy spiral spiral down.
Spiral down. That's what the staffers at Lucasfilm are saying, right? We're watching her spiral down, and there's this feeling of this thing is going to accelerate her downfall. That's what people in the office are saying. They're like, oh my God, we didn't think she would do this, right? Because this is a direct attack on the other trades. This is a direct attack on the other trades, which caused Baloney to come out this morning and call Deadline sycophants and say they're up her ass. I've never seen that kind of language between trades. The trades have a gentleman's agreement to be nice to each other. They always say, Variety will say, this was first reported by Hollywood Reporter, their competitor. There's this understanding. I've never seen them curse each other. And now
Wow.
she has attacked Variety and Hollywood Reporter, who built on Baloney's reporting. They're not going to sit back and give you examples. We know they're not going to sit back because last week I just mentioned that the Hollywood Reporter just did an investigative piece on what happened on It Ends With Us in that production, right?
Hmm.
It's caused her PR team to stupidly attack the Hollywood Reporter. First they put out just a general a report on what's going on. They had on the Hollywood Reporter weekly magazine. They had on the cover of her story, David versus Goliath, and she came out and said that this whole reporting and the cover is very sexist. It's an example of how women are voices suppressed by Hollywood. So Lively's people directly attack the Hollywood Reporter. What do you think they're going to do when you attack the Hollywood Reporter and call them sexist and unprofessional? they said, okay, well, let's be professional then. We're going to look deeper into what happened. And then they came out with the investigative report that made her look even more conniving, right? That was a mistake. You don't poke the trades. And Kennedy did that to multiple trades with his deadline thing. And so what Favreau's saying is that Jon Favreau is like, great, this is perfect. He said currently Favreau's
Right,
plan is
because
to say nothing.
it's helping him, right?
Exactly. And his plan is to say nothing. That's what Favreau told me.
Well,
The actual Favreau's like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm
but
sitting back. I'm letting the trades. He said they confirmed that they expect. We'll see if it happens. I expect it, but Favreau expects a trade war to begin. That Hollywood Reporter and Variety will be like, no, you're saying we're lying. All right, let's look into what's going on in Lucasfilm, and lots of receipts that have never been released can be found now because the trades are no longer afraid of Kennedy because now she attacked them. She
okay,
called them liars.
pause on the trade
Yes.
wars.
Yes.
Let's talk about let's talk about discipline of what is being and what has been said in regards to the PR game.
Yes.
Favreau has been incredibly disciplined playing this long game for a couple of years now, waiting for his time.
Yeah.
Kennedy has been up until now.
Yes.
I mean, that
This is
seems
undisciplined. This was out of control.
She's right. What I'm saying is, up until now, she seems very disciplined, and she was on, on point with her points as far as promoting her TV shows, then Indiana Jones, but it was one disaster after another. Now, what you're saying is that this thing here, right? This interview with that she did on Deadline, she completely, for lack of better words, she went off the reservation.
Correct.
And on par with Favreau's discipline, and I said this the other day on Midnight's Edge, Favreau's a supreme professional. He's been in this since the 90s, independently, producer, writer, actor. Now he directed all the biggest movies, Iron Man, blah blah blah. He's done it all. He has seen and he's doing the long game, Kamran. So what this new news is saying is that he is quietly sitting back, watching the wheels go round and these trade wars.
So Sparrow didn't say this. I'm speculating because I'm
Now
just
we're
looking
into
at the brilliance
speculation.
of this.
Okay.
Now we're speculation. We're speculation. This is me, Kamran Pasha, speculating. That I think that the way it played out is exactly how Jon Favreau himself planned it to play out. Because if we look, clearly, my source says that Favreau was one of the people that was authorized to leak this. That's why Baloney and the Variety and the Hollywood Reporter felt very confident in saying she's leaving because they're talking to people, either Mr. Favreau himself or people that are directly cannected to them. To like, oh, this isn't Joe Blow in the cafeteria, right? We know who this person is, and Baloney said confirmed by 3 independent sources, and so it's like, so we know who these people are. They're so high level, they ain't gonna make this up. She's gone, right? And so my instinct is that, because my source did say that it was leaked out intentionally by Iger and Favreau, that the Baloney thing was seeded by them, right? Whether directly or through their arms or minions, whatever. But so if I were Favreau and I was going to instill, and first let's ask, why would he do it? Let's look at the chess game. I'm just speculating, but this chess game of it, right? We have seen in the past, whenever you tell Kathleen Kennedy it's time for you to announce your retirement, what does she do? She sabotages it. Every time you tell her to announce her retirement, she announces a Ray movie. She announces an Acolyte. That's what she does. She won't do it. And so, it's, you can't, once you've had multiple things, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? Fool me 3 times, I mean, whatever Bush did, we're all shamed, right? And so this is like, okay, we've had multiple things of, we can't, if we just tell her, because the arrangement, as I've reported, was that in October, they came to understand, you're out next year. We're not renewing your contract. We'll give you some time to pack up your office and leave with some dignity, but that's how it's going to play out. So this was arranged back in October at the end of her contract. We're not renewing it, okay? And you're gone. So just you'll be on a weekly paycheck until you're gone, right? But there's no contract anymore. So now, and they were like, Iger was saying, let's hold off on announcing anything until this election issue stuff settles. I don't want to mess with the stock. So the next stuff issues, but my belief is, this is speculation. My belief is that actually it's not spec. It actually ties into what Sparrow told me, but that Kennedy was expecting that she would make the announcement on her terms when she wanted to, right? And but Favreau and Iger are like, we already know what that's gonna be. She's gonna pull the Lucy in the football with us. We tell her announce now that you're gonna retire, and she'd be like, yeah, sure, boss. Sure, boss. Oh, by the way, here I'm doing this new, this new movie with Leslie Headland's going to be directing this new epic movie, right? She'll do something stupid like that to change the narrative, right? And they're like, we've already been through this. You've taken the football from us multiple times. So
Mm,
what we're going to do is we're not going to let you announce it. We are going
mm.
to leak it because we learned the lesson. We're going to leak it, and we're going to leak it to specific trades that we know you don't have alliances with. So they get it out to Bologna, they get it out to the Hollywood Reporter, they get it out to Variety, and they leave out Deadline. This is my speculation now.
Okay.
Speculation. My speculation is that they intentionally did not approach Deadline because they knew Deadline's editorial slant in favor of women in general and Kennedy in particular, that this would not be a friendly place. And also, let's leave her a place. If I were John Favreau, it's like, you want one of the basic rules of Sun Tzu and war is that you want to corral your enemy into a trap. You want to force them to walk down the road you lay out for them rather than give them control of the terrain. So if you block this place, you block this place, you block this place, you force them to go down into the area where you can surround them and they're finished, right? So with all the other trades, with the other major trades all locked down into the narrative that she's leaving, he has only one place she can do this is Deadline. But they also know she goes to Deadline. Deadline is going to be very careful in that they can't start a trade war, right? They can't be attacking their competitors. So even in that Deadline article, you see Mike Fleming, who, Baloney called a sycophant today. He called him a sycophant publicly. He said he's up her ass. He used those words, up her rear end, right?
Right.
Up the rear end of powerful. Said this guy's not just Kennedy. He's up everybody's rear end who's powerful. That's what he called the guy directly, his competitor, right? And you go even the Deadline reporter, Mike Fleming, to his credit, and I credited him in my original reporting, that he asked her a few not softball questions. He asked her,
Mm.
he said, this kind of everything you're describing kind of sounds chaotic. Is that true? Because we've been saying Lucasfilm is chaos. Even
Sure.
Fleming says it in interviews. This kind of sounds like it creates the impression the studio under your management is kind of chaotic. She's like, no, that's not true. How dare you? She was startled with the question. Because she was expecting full softballs. He didn't give her full softballs. Then he said, but it kind of also sounds like you're being pushed out. He says it. It kind
Wow.
of sounds like you're being pushed out because he's heard from his colleagues that this is not true, and she's talking nonsense. So there's only so much he can be her shill because everybody knows what's up. So he
Okay,
has to ask her these questions, and she bumbles and opens up the gates of hell for herself.
Cameron, let's surmise the breaking news that you got. You guys saw it here. He got the call while we were live. Okay, from Sparrow, the Lucasfilm Secret
Insider.
Connect. Let's
First
surmise,
time in history, get a direct call from Sparrow, breaking news on a live stream.
and let's surmise the facts and surmise your speculation. If you can quickly do that
All right.
for us.
The facts are this, as from the call from Sparrow, that the Deadline article has accelerated Kathleen Kennedy's downfall inside of Lucasfilm and Disney. The staff are shocked. They didn't see this coming. They thought she would kind of put out a few denials and like what she did with CNN and other smaller non-industry things and fan sites. They were shocked she went to Deadline. They were shocked she incited a trade war. Everyone thinks a trade war is coming, that the trades are now going to start attacking each other or attacking Deadline, and that this is going to cause her to unravel. That is what people inside of Lucasfilm believe. They expect information. The trades are going to start attacking Kennedy. We'll see if that happens. I believe they will. Matt Boloney did it this morning. So that's Boloney. And, Hollywood Reporters have got its reputation on the line, and Variety does as well. So I believe that they will start looking deeper into this because now people are saying you lied to us, and that's not true. So they have to protect themselves. So that's what the people inside of Lucasfilm are saying. The other thing that we know is that Sparrow heard that the legal documents were sent from Iger's office to Lucasfilm counsel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that's in-house counsel. I don't know if that's in-house or whoever they're using for their various, farmed out lawsuits, but it probably will go from Iger to Lucasfilm counsel and then go out to the farmed out thing. But that's known that we suddenly have these communiques that were sent to Lucasfilm legal from Iger's office, and people don't know what's in the communiques. My source doesn't know what's in those communiques. They're sealed. But when the word came out that Iger's office is talking to Lucasfilm Legal all of a sudden directly, the speculation in the office is that the intention is to settle out with the outstanding lawsuits of Luke against Lucasfilm from Gina Carano and Karen McCarthy. Right, that's the speculation of our source. That's the speculation side of Lucasfilm that's what's happening. We don't know that, right? And so that's general. My speculation of all of that, to summarize, is that this was all part of Jon Favreau's brilliant Sun Tzu plan to lock her into her own accelerated destruction. Because now he has created an incentive, or she has, for him, created an incentive for the other trades to start looking into Lucasfilm's, a lot of stuff that we, have been saying, things like the Five Horsemen, things that have never been publicly reported, stuff that's been going on for a year, that the trade said, we're not going to talk about this. Well, their incentive to not talk about this has gone away because Kennedy is implying that they are liars. Never happened in history that I'm aware of. This incident never happened. Would trades start attacking the studio heads and other trades, which began this morning. She has upended herself, and she's upended the system, which is shocking. And that's what somebody who's frankly a narcissist will do. They don't plan out they don't see consequences. They just see the victory of the moment, which leads to their downfall.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. The words from Sparrow and our expert analysis and our expert speculation too. So take it for what it is. But this is exciting. This has never happened live here on the Latino Slant. Kamran getting the news. So muchísimas gracias to everyone in the comments and in the chats. So